My special guests today are two football soccer coaches based in Houston, Texas, USA. We've got the president of Celtic FC America and Houston Hurricanes, originally from Dublin, Ireland, and has been playing and coaching in the United States since 1985. We got Mr. Brendan Keys. We also have a player Brendan coached as a boy in Friendswood, Texas, who is now a coach himself at Shadow Creek Soccer Club. Michael Luna also joins me today. Gentlemen, good afternoon. Before we talk about this exciting new project you guys have put together, let's talk a little bit about your football, soccer background. Starting with you, Brendan.
Yeah, well, as you said, Joe, in the intro, I've been here since 1985. I came over to play, pro soccer in the States. Originally, I was supposed to play with the Houston Dynamos, but that team kind of folded when I arrived. So I waited around for a while. I played with a team called the Houston Eagles and played with them till we had they were like a semi-pro team, waited around them for another pro team to come, and that was Houston Hurricanes in USL. And I played with them for about 6-7 seasons. And then I ended up buying the franchise probably about 15 years ago and had that up and running till, a couple of years ago till the COVID hit. And that's kind of my football and background. In between, I played with a couple of, amateur teams, Celtic, Houston Celtic, and the Houston Force, another team that played in USL but folded. So that's it as far as football. They're the teams I played with.
Yeah, but you started in Ireland, obviously, as a kid, right? Back in Dublin.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course, when you're born in Ireland or in England or whatever in Europe, you start playing football when you can walk. And I was given my first ball when I was about 1 year old.
Yeah.
And then, my old man was coaching me. And the first kind of major club I played with in Ireland was a team called Home Farm. I guess you could say at the time they were the Manchester United of League of Ireland. They had a League of Ireland team as well. But now it's just all, they do it up to youth, up to, I think it's U18. That's the highest they go. They don't have, no longer have a League of Ireland team, unfortunately.
Yeah, Ronnie Whelan played in that team, I think.
Yeah, we spoke about this the last time you had me on the show. Ronnie Whelan played there. Steve Archibald played there. They've had a good few big players go on and make it and play in the Premier League in England.
Right. And Michael, when did you become interested in soccer? Because being from the USA, American football and basketball are the main sports here, even though soccer's become really popular now. When did you first become involved?
Oh, man, when I first started playing, I was 4 or 5. But like you said, here in America, young people, they play every sport. And so growing up, I played soccer, basketball, baseball. But I guess later on, my whole competitiveness was just competitive soccer. Like, that was my main focus. Even though I played all the sports all around, soccer was always year-round for me. And like Brendan said, like him, my dad coached us in Alvin. The two teams back then that were competitive were the Alvin Sidekicks, which was my dad's team, and then the Alvin Broncos, which I think Brendan trained for a while. And then they kind of folded. We all moved to Friendswood to play there, and that's when we merged teams. But like you said, about high school, that's even before high school, that's when I actually started getting real into competitive soccer and stopped playing everything else. That's my youth career right there.
Do you have any favorite teams, as in the English Premier League? Don't disappoint me now, Michael.
That's a tough one.
Do you follow do you follow the Barca and Real Madrids?
No,
maybe.
No, I follow Premier League. I guess it just depends what generation you're talking about, man. Because early 2000s, you're talking Chelsea, Manchester.
Don't say that.
No, but I mean, when you look at players like Michael Ballack and players like that, the game's different now, So, but I don't know. I just like watching good competitive soccer, I guess you could say.
Easy answer is just say Liverpool.
Yeah, favorite players.
I won't go with the general of Ronaldo, Messi. I'll say right now my favorite player. I'll say 2 of them, Mbappe and Mo Salah right now.
At least you got Salah in. That's my boy. Yeah. There you go. But Michael, you've coached for over 10 years and you're based at Shadow Creek. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so when I started coaching, I actually started coaching back in Alvin, helping a friend I grew up playing with his boys. And this is back in my bachelor days. And then, of course, I did that for a few years. And then, of course, I got married and had kids of my own. As soon as my kids were 4, my oldest one, my girl, she started playing, and then my son, he's 10 now, but we started playing when he was 4, and I've been there ever since. Like I said, my daughter's about to be 12, my son's 10. Shadow Creek is a smaller club, but we have big things, big plans, and like I told Brendan, my girls' team, we just got done playing in the Rise Power Cup, and we took first place, and it's good for a small club like that to make a name for themselves and beat these bigger clubs, you know.
So that's the camp you're running at the moment at Shadow Creek, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Brendan, your one-on-one camps at the moment, how are they going?
It's fantastic, Joe. Business is great. Better this year actually than the last 3 years for the obvious reasons with the COVID. But yeah, everything is going well. I'm doing a lot of camps out of state, and now we're connecting. We're setting up to to do some camps here in Texas and Houston, and obviously Mike will probably give you more information as far as how we got together on that one at Shadow Creek. But he was very important. He played an important role bringing Gary at Shadow Creek. So I thank you for that, Michael. It's fantastic.
Well, let's move on to this fantastic new project. You guys have teamed up with former Luton Town, Tottenham Hotspur, Norwich City, Irish international player Gary Doherty, and you're setting up these camps here in Texas. Michael, how do you feel having orchestrated this and having a player like Gary coach these camps?
Oh, it's amazing. It's exciting. Like when Brendan called me, and the first time he called me to tell me about it, I said, yeah, I mean, that's something I wanted to do. So I just had to contact our director of our club, and as soon as I told him, he was on board, and then we got a hold of Brendan. We all got on the phone together, and then they had a quote unquote, I guess you call it board meeting, I guess, and they all confirmed they wanted to do it, and here we are. Man, I'm excited to get this going, especially with Brendan. Someone I really look up to that helped me play at my top level and help me better myself. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
Well, I'm not saying it just because he's here, but Brendan's a highly respected coach here. He's been here since 1985, a lot of honours. So you're in good hands there. Well, how long did it take to put this project together with Gary?
Well, Brendan called me, I guess it was, December, Brendan? Something like the end of December?
Yeah.
And then it didn't even take a week for us to confirm it. And so now I'm trying to get the back, I guess you call it, quote unquote, paperwork done, and then we'll be good to go.
Are these camps going to be all over Texas, guys?
Well, with this one at Shadow Creek, obviously it's a one-off camp, and hopefully it goes great. And these guys want to do next year, or maybe even do 2 a year. Who knows? But we plan on doing one in Houston, one in San Antonio, one in Austin. The 4 major places, one in Dallas.
Yeah.
I'm already in talks with San Antonio. It's looking good to do one in August, and Dallas. So back to back. Austin is the only one that really I haven't reached out to anybody as yet. So it might be this year, Dallas, San Antonio, and Houston. And then next year we'll go after Austin.
When you come to San Antonio, you hit San Antonio, Brendan, you're going to have to bring the guys to wax your corners.
I'll even get Michael down on that one. We'll bring Michael down to help us with that camp if we can get him, if he's free. But, when you're a young father, he's got young kids.
Yeah.
It's kind of tough to get away. It's great, this one, because he's a coach. It's right here where he's at, where he lives, so he can be involved in the camp, coaching the kids, working with Gary and I. And so that one is for sure he'd be involved in doing, but we'll see about the rest.
I'm laughing here. I'm just going to tell the listeners I'm laughing here because it's I'm in obviously the studio with headphones on. Michael's there with his pods in his house there. Brendan, typical Irishman. Brendan's at his tiki bar outside his house.
I am, yeah.
He's at his Celtic bar there. Look at that.
You need the Celtic colours.
Look at that. Obviously the listeners can't see, but we're on a Zoom type meeting here, and he's got the green and white. He's got a fantastic tiki bar in his garden there. So typical Irishman, typical Dublin. I just had to bring that one in there. But just to let the listeners know, we're going to be having Gary on the show along with you guys when these camps are up and running. So I wanted to use today as a taster to get it out there. This great project's going to be happening. And I spoke to Gary myself a couple of days ago. I know he's over in London right now. He's getting he's having some injections on his knee, he was saying, but he's looking forward to coming on. But Brendan, while you're on the air, tell us about your new business venture outside of soccer.
Well, I'm a grinder, Joe. You know
I
that.
know.
Michael was. I went out and I bought a load of fleet of cars. I bought 2 limousines. I bought a van. You know, and they were all used. And I was trying to help out a few people. You know, put a few of my players to work. You know, kids that coach for me and all, help them out. But I decided to sell them all and buy me a couple of Suburbans brand new. I bought 2 of them. I've got one at the moment, and I'll have another one. Hopefully, I'm hoping to get it in any time now.
Yeah.
So I drive one myself, and the other one maybe my son will drive, or we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm doing VIP keys transportation, and I'll tell you what, mate, it's absolutely going great. You know, I picked up a load of celebs already.
I know, I was going to say, I spoke to you last week. You've chauffeured some well-known celebrities. Are you allowed to say who, or you can't?
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, I picked up India. To be honest, I didn't know who she was. You know what I mean? And up in the movies in Hollywood. I picked up an old rock band from the 80s called Steel Panther. Them guys were absolutely fantastic. I think Michael's heard from them. They're just old 80s glam rock band.
Yeah.
And then one of my regular customers is I picked up was Christina Wells. She was a finalist or a semi-finalist on America's Got Talent. I actually just dropped her to the airport yesterday. Again, she lives around here. She's a nurse as well, but the singing is what she wants to do full time, and she's gone for an audition in New York. And then back when I was actually testing the waters a little bit, I picked up Snoop Dogg.
Wow.
We just made a Super Bowl, so so a few high profile people. So it's been fun.
I love the caption you've got because obviously your name's Brendan Keys, and the caption is "Leave the keys to us."
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Good slogan.
But how do people book that service?
Joe, like I said, when I started off doing it, I didn't think it'd blow up so much. I don't even have a website or anything. So it's just through social media platforms, and it's mostly word of mouth at the moment. My phone number, the same phone number I use, but it's all people I've met through soccer. Like I'm picking up, like Gary, for example. I'll pick up Gary when he comes in. Yep. Obviously, I'm good mates with Gary, and I'm Gary's agent, and that was the connection. How we could get Gary, to come and do this camp with Michael, at the club. But I've got a lot of connections in football.
Yep.
They've hooked me up with other people. Charles Barkley. I haven't picked him up yet, but I'm hoping to get him. But met Charles a few times, back in the day. And that's all through playing with the Hurricanes.
Yep.
Met Scottie Pippen, most of the Rockets at that time, Vernon Maxwell, Sam Cassell. So, I'm hoping if we can connect with them and pick up them type of people. But I'm open to, anybody. It's all VIP, going to the airports, the cruise ships and stuff like that,
Yeah. Well, talking about you being Gary Doherty's agent, how did that come about?
So I have a friend, a family, kind of like a second cousin. His name is Alex O'Reilly, and he played on the Ireland national team with Gary. And it was the only team that ever won anything in Ireland. They won the European Cup, and they beat none other than Germany in the final, 5-4. And Alex saved the 5th penalty. And on that team was Robbie Keane, Damien Duff, loads of stars that went on to play in the Premier League, and Gary Doherty. Unfortunately for my mate, Alex, he didn't go on to make it. He was at West Ham for a little while, never broke through. They went to Beaumont, never broke through. And then he did that series on the football, Harchester United and all that.
Oh, yeah.
He did that for about 3 or 4 years. And he reached out to me about 10, 11 years ago, and he knew I was out here in the States coaching and stuff. And he said, "Hey, Brendan, Gary Doherty, it might be a great hookup for you, but he wants to go play Major League Soccer. He wants to live the lifestyle. He's always lived the lifestyle. And would you be interested in meeting him? He's going to be in Austin, and I'm in Houston. So yourself, Michael knows it's not. It's not like it's next door. You know what I mean? It's like for us, it's a long way. It's 200 miles away." So I made the effort. I brought a mate of mine down, and we drove down, and I met him. And you talk about like modest and humble, guy. What just a nice guy he was. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we ended up, becoming good mates, friends. And I was his agent representing him, trying to bring him to MLS. And we actually got offered a couple of deals. One was with New York Red Bulls. But of course, nobody can play Premier League money. Remember, Gary was with Norwich at the time. He was just looking at, he's at that age. I think he was, coming up to 30 or close to 30. And he wanted that move over here, for 3 years or 4 years. he loved the lifestyle in America. He'd played there once before, and but the money it wasn't the motive money but he said, look, I can't pay for less than this, Brendan. This is the number, which was, it was way less. It was less than half of what he was already making.
Yeah.
And so it just never materialized. But we kept in touch. And when I'd go to London, I'd stay over there with Gary, and we'd meet up and have a drink at my brother's bars. And when he comes here to Houston, he stays here with me and Gwen. He's been over a few times.
Yeah.
And then, believe it or not, it's hard to believe, but he ended up coming playing only for a few moments for the Houston Hurricanes, and he was basically like my assistant coach, only for a short spell. I think I'd probably learn more off him than he learned off me, to be honest with you. It was great because all the experienced managers he had, Glenn Hoddle, George Graham, and people like that playing in the Premier League. That's why I can't emphasize enough. I told Michael, I said, Michael, this is unbelievable to have somebody like this. I'm buzzing. My hair's in my neck. I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And to give it to a young man that I used to coach when he was about 10, 11, 12, 13, maybe even up to 14 or 15, it's fantastic for, Shadow Creek Soccer Club. So looking forward to working with Gary and Mike.
When do you think these camps will be up and running with Gary Doherty, Michael?
So the one here that we're having in Pearland it's already set. It's gonna be June 3rd. The first day is June 13th, which is that Monday, and it's gonna run all through that week.
And you're working on San Antonio, you say, Brendan?
Yeah, San Antonio will probably be the second or third week in San Antonio. I'm talking to a mate of mine down there, James Hope is his name. But shout out.
I know James.
Yeah, James is good people. So I've known James probably about 15 years. So hoping to, get James to do the same thing we did with Michael, where the club just, take the camp. And that's how it's been done, previously, how we've done it.
James was involved in used to be the Scorpions he was involved with, right?
Yeah, he ran the supporters club. What was the name of them? Joe, you're down there. You should know.
Crocketeers. That's right. Crocketeers, yeah.
He's a great guy, man. I mean, he really is. He's a good man for the game. Looks after the kids,
Is he still involved in the San Antonio FC as it is now?
Yeah.
Right, because I know James. So he's your contact for San Antonio for bringing the camps.
One of them.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's my first. Like with Michael, I went to Michael first for this,
yep.
And I didn't look anywhere else because Michael went to. I think the guy's name is Damien, and the board, and then me, Michael, and Gary did a three-way conversation and had a little chat. And like Michael said earlier on, it was ironed out pretty fast that we're going to do this. The club want to have him over and. So it's fantastic for the kids,
Your individual camps, starting with you, Michael, at Shadow Creek. What's the best way for people to book the camps at Shadow Creek?
So what we're going to do is once we get all the paperwork ironed out, which will be done here shortly, probably at the end of this week. Shadow Creek we'll send out emails. I have my social media that I'll post links on for registration because I also do one-on-one training as well. So I already have kids that already know.
Because that's what I wanted to plug as well. You're actually one-on-one sessions and stuff. How do people go about that?
Yeah, so it's just the same way. Like with Brendan, all my stuff was word of mouth. I don't have a website yet. Hopefully this year I'm going to get all that up and running. But yeah, they know to call me. I've got my email, my Facebook page. It's all Luna Soccer Training LLC. I'm on Instagram, like I said, Facebook. But yeah, so whenever we get ready for the camp, everything will be sent out, registration, a link, just like how we did here, and a link will be sent out, and it'll all be good to go.
Great. And Brendan, your camps at the moment? Best way for people to get in touch with you?
Yeah, it's coachkeys.com. I do have the website for the soccer that's been up for years, 20 years.
Yeah.
Coachkeys.com, and they can book them online, credit cards. Call me directly, and like Michael, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all of that stuff, and my phone number, of course. So yeah, that's it, Joe.
Yeah, I think social media is a big thing, isn't it, now?
Yeah, to be honest with you, Joe, people don't go to the website to book up now anymore. It's through Instagram, Facebook platforms, and how they can do it like that. And now everybody is playing with these apps. They're calling you, and they're doing it through Venmo and Cash App and Zelle and all that. It's great. There's so many ways of marketing and selling yourself now. And by the way, just to add in, Michael, when I coached Michael when he was a young lad, he was a hell of a player back in the day. And I can't wait to work him coaching. I've never seen him, coaching.
Yep.
But everybody is telling me what a great job he's doing, and I look forward to working with you, Michael, that week at the camp. But if you're looking for one-on-ones, and you can't get hold of me, or I'm busy or whatever, give Michael a call, because he does a great job with the kids.
Brendan, what about the Houston Hurricanes? I know we've spoken before about how the pandemic affected the club. How does the club stand now?
Well, there's still about 4 teams using the Houston Hurricane names. So there's programs going, U14, U15, U16, and there's a girls U16 team also. So I'm not involved in it as much anymore, Joe. Just because I don't have the time with all my other ventures I'm doing.
Yep.
I'm kind of focused now, working with Gary, doing these camps first in Texas, but then we're gonna venture out and do them all over the country and the world. We've talked about doing some back home in Ireland, England, Scotland, and Wales, and even go across Europe doing them. But definitely in the United States is our main. Gary's here, I think, for 5 years. We got big plans on doing these camps everywhere. Because why not? It's Doherty and Keys soccer camps, and of course, whatever Michael and Damien decide they want on the camp, sure, sponsored by, the name of the club, or brought to you by whatever, you know what I'm saying? But be in conjunction with them. But we'll do that all over, all over Texas, and then all over the country. So that's my main focus right now, Joe. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us today, giving us a taster of the new project. And like I said, we're going to bring Gary Doherty on for sure on the show with you guys again.
And Joe, before I go, real quick, one thing I forgot. We've set up a new Instagram and Twitter page, Doherty Keys Soccer Camps. So find us on there. They're brand new.
Okay, so it's Doherty Keys Soccer Camps.
Keys Soccer Camps, yeah.
Brendan Keys, Michael Loon, everybody. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you.
Bye-bye.